Hi, welcome to this edition of MTG Reads. I'm DP, author, MTG fan and voracious reader, here to signpost you to some of the best of the written word about MTG that's come out this week. Little tweak to the format this week following feedback and discussions with some of my subscribers. What I've done is we'll focus much more on the quick roundup of what's new in the way of MTG Reads. The previous archive section is now taken out, and that'll move across to another series of videos where I'm going to do a few more in-depth reviews of books. So, with that said, let's dive on in because your time is precious. Now, it's been quite a quiet week this week with only 145 articles published. That's mainly because we're only halfway through the Double Masters reveal series. Yes, there is another reveal already. There have been relatively few controversies at Wizards of the Coast, and the big announcements about Zendikar that came right in the middle of the release for Double Master stuff, that only happened on the Saturday, right at the end of the week, and therefore hasn't been picked up in any articles. This means the 145 articles have no particular theme or thread to them and are quite varied, which gives us a wonderful opportunity to look at things out of the ordinary. And starting on that track, let's take a look at an article by Chrsitopher John Eggett. Now this is actually in Tabletop Gaming magazine. In this, he turns around and talks to Wes Schneider and James Wyatt about story and background and lore for Theros. So if you missed all of that, if you didn't feel that you got all of that, Wizards has now published a book, and Chrsitopher Eggett was talking with James and Wes about that book that was published in June. What's the snag? Well, the snag is it's actually a Dungeons & Dragons source book, so really if Wizards want you to know the story of what happened in Theros, you now have to go and buy a different product. But the article spans 6 pages, really good interview, well worth it. I know that the magazine means you've got to go buy it or subscribe to it or subscribe to one of those aggregator services like Readly, but I'll put a link down to Tabletop Gaming magazine because it is worth a read anyway, and that article is very, very good. Also on the theme of things that are a little bit different this week, Samuel Šulovský over at Card Market answered a very simple question, or certainly tackled a very simple question. Which is the better card, Ancestral Recall or Pot of Greed? Seems like a very simple question until you realise that Pot of Greed is a Yu-Gi-Oh card, and therefore he has to go down and discuss the differences between the games and what makes cards strong in one versus the other. Without wishing to spoil it, he doesn't actually get to an answer of which is the better card, but it's certainly a fascinating article taking a look at the differences between the two games. But what about things that are much more Magic core stream stuff? Well, Dana Roach over at EDH Rec, he's got a problem, so it's an article worth looking at. His problem is Brewers Block. Not to be confused with Brewers Droop. Brewers Block is the thing that happens to all of us. Sometimes creatively we dry up. We don't know where to start when brewing a deck, and Dana takes a look and gives a whole bunch of very useful tips on how to break through that threshold and get into building good quality decks. If you're looking at deck building across any format, not just Commander, as this one is geared at Commander, but if you're looking at building a new deck in any format, really, this is a very good article, well worth a read. Sticking with the theme of unexpected, let's go across to Flipside Gaming, where Basile has taken a look at the unexpected cards. That is, cards that your opponents won't see coming, they may never have even seen in play, and they do unusual and odd things that your opponents are going to say, pass that across, let's have a look at that. Now, all 13 of the cards that Mikeal looks at are in white, a colour for which in the non-rotating formats, let's be honest, white tends to suffer, and so this is a good place to start with unexpected twists. It's a really good article. If you play any of the non-rotating formats, then heartily recommend that one. But most unexpected article of the week comes from Mark Rosewater on Wizard's own website. It's a wonderful comedy piece. Totally unexpected. In the article, Mark tries to explain how Wizards, a company which points out repeatedly that it can't react quickly to any controversy because its product line is planned 2+ years out and therefore it can't make changes quickly. And he explains how a company with that setup can turn around and bring out Double Masters just 18 months after telling everybody that it had dropped the Masters series. In that article, Mark turns around and points out that Wizards has a general rule on reprints, which is it will try not to reprint a card in 2 products within the same year. Now, he said that in an article published during the first week of the previews for Double Masters. That's Double Masters, which of the 140 cards that have so far been shared, 22 of them, or 16%, have been reprinted in mystery boosters or jumpstart within the last 5 months alone. It's not often that somebody in the written word manages to capture that whole piece about the secret of comedy being timing, because that isn't something that translates very well to the written word. The fact that Mark has managed to come up with this beautifully timed right in the middle of Double Masters going against everything he says is brilliant comedic genius, and that article is well worth it. That just about wraps it up for the week though, and if you like what you've seen, then please comment below, give a thumbs up, subscribe. All of the links to the articles are down in the description, but for now, take care of yourselves and happy reading.